At the first church I served, there was a man named Michael, who was your classic superstar church volunteer. He had, over the course of a very long connection with the parish, been warden and treasurer, head usher, lector and intercessor, led stewardship and mission trips. He was largely at the retired stage of church volunteer careers. But when I needed someone to help teach a confirmation class with me to a group of 8th grade boys, I asked Mike. Partially because I thought he would be a great role model for those kids, and partially because I really needed someone, and he had demonstrated over a very long period of time that he had trouble saying no when the church asked him to do something. And if I'm honest, partially because it gave me the chance to spend some extra time with him, and that was always a blessing for me. Not too long after that confirmation class ended, Mike came to me and informed me that he had been diagnosed with an aggressive form of dementia. I'd grown close to him in a relatively short period of time, and I went to meet with him. I was also a fairly new priest and wanted to be a great pastor, and I assured him that just like he had been faithful to the church for many years, we would surround him and care for him, walk with him and love him every step until the end. And he smiled at me and said, "Thank you, and you have no idea what you're promising." And he was right. Before it was over, he also got cancer. He was intermittently in pain and sometimes lost. And it was hard when he was out of it, and it was hard in a different way when he had moments of lucidity. It was profoundly difficult for all of us who walked with him, and it was also a profoundly beautiful journey. A faith and love every step of the way. It was frustrating and heartbreaking, maddening, and completely holy. I'm not sure I would have made that promise if I knew the toll it would take, and I am sure that I would be a lesser priest in person if I had not gone through every step of it with him. And Mike would hate it if he knew I was about to draw a parallel between him and Jesus in today's reading. But here it is. The sons of Zebedee, already 2 of the 3 core disciples, approach Jesus and tell him, "We want you to give us whatever we ask of you." What an audacious setup. It sounds like something that my 6-year-old might say and not 2 grown men. But Jesus allows it. They ask to sit on his right hand and his left as he rules as the Christ. And he replies that they have no idea what they're asking. Because the way of the Christ is the way of the cross, the way of suffering and serving, of giving and sacrificially loving, and often not being loved back the same. Then the other disciples catch wind of this conversation, and they are angry. Not at James and John's misunderstanding, but at the fact that they tried to jump the queue ahead of them. So Jesus has to tell all of them that they are simply molding his ministry into the pattern of the world around him, where the powerful rule and lord it over others. But instead, he is leading them to serve those who seem least deserving, to give without thought for reciprocation, to lay down their lives for others. James and John want authority, But what Jesus is offering and asking for in return is tenacious solidarity. What he wants is true community and incarnational love that he could touch and feel and would stand beside him as he hung on the cross. It would be nice to say that the church had internalized that message over the centuries, but we still like to be in proximity to power, often more than near to Christ. We prefer ease to suffering and ruling rather than serving. We want wealth and influence, a sense of being important and consequential. We want actual power at times, or at least access to it, like you would get if you were sitting at the right and left hand of the one who held it. And I'm aware that I'm not preaching this in just any church, but the cathedral to the city, as we like to call ourselves, and the seat of this diocese. And people come here for all sorts of reasons, but there's a certain type of person who comes to the cathedral because it is the cathedral, and that has a certain meaning. And there's no judgment in that from this guy who went through a whole process to be named dean of said cathedral. It's just a gentle reminder to us that to be leaders in this faith tradition is to serve and to give and to offer our lives for others. Because Jesus redefined the Messiah as the one who loved and served and saved us. Now, this is Stewardship Sunday, when we hand out our pledge packets, and a priest normally stands up and makes a pitch for you to make financial promises in the coming year to the church. But that's not exactly my plan. Make no mistake, I don't mind asking you for money. We do good work here, and we do it efficiently, and it takes a lot of money to run this place. But the truth is, I want way more than your money. And I think God does too. I want your daily prayers and your commitment to learn and grow and be real disciples of Jesus. I want your skills and your passions contributing to this place, but also to our witness out beyond the walls. I want your wisdom and your experience helping make decisions and running ministries. I want your time serving the needs of this congregation. I want your concern for creation and your heart for reconciliation. But most of all, I want you to commit to being real and genuine community here. With deep relationships and lasting friendships that bind us and mark us as the church. Unlike most of the modern world where relationships are transactional at heart. Our stewardship theme this year is Walk in Love, and we are going to focus as a community on serving and giving and laying down our lives as Jesus taught all of his followers to do. Please know that I am not obtuse or oblivious or unaware of the financial situation of this church. I'm actually rather financially adept for a priest, which I readily admit is a rather low bar. But I trust your faithfulness to offer what you feel called to. And even more than that, I trust God's faithfulness. And while there are untold things I don't know about this place after a mere 7 weeks. For instance, though I hold master keys to the whole precinct, I don't know how to turn on the lights in the very room we're standing in. And you could fill volumes with what I don't know. But this I do know, in the core of my being, deep in my soul. There are churches closing every day across this continent. And this place will rise or fall based on the quality of our community here. The depth and breadth and persistence of our love is what will determine our importance, longevity, and witness to the world outside. That is where I will put my efforts this year, and that's where we'll make our stand as a community, as disciples of the living God. Because elsewhere in the gospel, Jesus taught us that by this all people will know that you're my disciples, by your love for one another. Not your theological purity or your doctrinal knowledge, not the fervency of your prayers, not the beauty of your worship, or even the efficacy of your outreach. Those things are all important, mind you, but they are not most important, so says the Son of Man. In a world that is fraying and fractured, the surest sign of Jesus' disciples is a people who genuinely love each other. Across difference, through hard times, sacrificially. I want to say one more thing on that. There are some practicalities like stewardship packets in the back. They contain 2 letters, one from me and one from the elected leaders of this parish, and a card where you can make your financial pledge, but also express how you'd like to participate in the communal life of this place, or what you need from us so that you can start to be involved in ways that you find meaningful. And there's also an explanation of pledging that makes clear that we in turn make a pledge to you, to care for you as members of this cathedral church. Because sometimes what you have to offer is your own neediness, and it gives us the opportunity to be the community that Christ called us to be and the disciples that we've promised to be. So if you find yourself in that place now or sometime in the future, you reach out and you trust that we will care for you and we will carry you. And that might be one of those promises like mine to Michael that I wouldn't make if I knew in advance exactly what the cost and the toll would be. But I'm also sure we will be better for it, and it's a holy journey. Because before we focus on anything else, we will walk in love in a way that marks us unquestionably as Christ's disciples in the world and marks us as worthy of that calling. Let us go forth and do it in the name of the one who first loved us, Jesus Christ the Lord. Amen.